Didn't go yet. All right. Welcome back, everyone. It's Wednesday afternoon. I'm really happy to be joined by our good friend Barry Silver of Collab Realty. Barry, where in the world are you?
I'm right now in New Orleans, Louisiana, right here on Legion Fields, beautiful, historic New Orleans, in my office.
That's everyone knows. I have a strong affinity and love for New Orleans. In fact, was living there, this year and plan on coming back. But currently up in the Catskills. So I thought it was really interesting to me, and I went to Tulane there. Have a strong love for New Orleans. I wanted to bring in someone from New Orleans real estate and someone who's a friend on the ground there to what's let's just start with what's New Orleans been like and what's it like during COVID, or is it just like everywhere else? And that's a silly question.
Right. Now, I mean, I would say it's probably similar to other places. In the neighborhood, it's been very quiet. I mean, especially where I live. I live near Tulane University, and that's a mix of residential people living there year round and just students. So literally, I would say 90% of the students have left. So my area has been super quiet. But you still have your people walking dogs and jogging. But I would say you definitely social distance, but maybe you interact a little bit more with the neighbors. Maybe like you see them more. It's been quiet. It's been very quiet, but very peaceful. And the weather has actually been amazing.
That's what I heard. It's been a very nice spring, and that at least going outside has been great. Tell us a little bit about the real estate market. I mean, have things like frozen up, or are things continuing to flourish the way they were before, or take us like in April and May 2019 versus 2020?
Sure. So to be specific, just for just real data, just to start off with, compared to April of 2019, we're about 40% low. We're about 40% down in home sales. So we definitely see the market is slowing down, just in terms of the activity. In terms of price points, I would say price points are pretty much staying the same for the most part. So again, more in April, things have really been slowing down. Now in May, things have actually been picking up more, specifically for the single family residences. I would say the mid range, $300,000 range, things have certainly been picking up more.
Okay, I'm happy to hear that. I mean, it's good to hear that things are still flowing, and that prices aren't coming down yet, or that they're not, that the market's still solid. I mean, New Orleans rebounded big time after Katrina, and has seen a lot of stuff going on. I mean, as far as growth, so I'm happy to hear that that's not eroding.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I mean, one concern is obviously, as the supply does kind of go up and the demand does go down, we could see. It's like in April, while we were waiting for it, we could have seen more of a decline in May, just because of the demand going up. But thankfully, that hasn't happened. Thankfully, in May, things have kind of been going up a little bit. So that concern has kind of been a little bit, unease now.
I mean, have you had some out of towners, like people from bigger cities like the Northeast or Chicago, LA, reach out to you and say that they're looking to come? They still want that city vibe, but they're looking to maybe be in a city where it's a little more spread out and there's more room, less people.
Right. I mean, so obviously right now the people that I'm currently helping are all people that are here, people that are living here, whether they were renting and now they're looking to buy, or whether people looking to sell their people looking to sell their properties, multifamilies. But mostly people that are in town. The out of towners, I'm really dealing with investors more. Like I still have investors calling me, like they're always interested about the real estate market, how it's going. So I'm certainly seeing out of town investors, not so much people looking to relocate. Obviously now, people can't really think about going to the store so much. So, the idea of relocating, I think, is a bit foreign, but investors, not home buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. I should have started with this, but tell me what inspired you to get into real estate?
So it's actually a funny story. So I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and I got a degree in teaching and education.
That's why you have a brick wall behind you, also, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Brooklyn, baby. Brooklyn. Yeah.
one of the reasons why I love this office, it really reminds me of Brooklyn. You know, all those open up brick walls to jack up prices from 2,000 to 500, $2,500 a month. Open the brick wall and boom, you got it. So yeah, definitely bringing that to New Orleans as well. But yeah, I mean, I got my degree in teaching. So during the regular year, school's out, I needed a job, and I pretty much was able to do anything because I just needed something literally to fill my time for 2 months in the summer. And a friend of mine was doing real estate. I'm like, hey, you know, what's the deal with that? Like, it was kind of like, you know, enticing for me. And I joined this awesome company called Urban Pads, still operating right now in Brooklyn. I highly recommend it. And I just loved it. I went to Urban Pads. I started off and I think I was benefiting because it wasn't like a pressure that I had to do deals or had to do anything to start off with. It was merely just a fun thing. People calling me, you know, asking me to help them out, and they were kind of like refreshed to see, to hear a bit of a different, you know, vibe. Like a lot of them were like, wow, you're a little different than the other agents, not so intense or whatever. And I just loved it. I just had an amazing time. And after the summer, like I was about to go back to teaching, and my boss called me over. He's like, by the way, I want you to stay in real estate. I'm like, nah, I can't stay in real estate. I need because I was getting a salary. So anyways, I was surprised. He called me back a little while later. He's like, hey, what's if I offer you a salary to stay in real estate and you could do deals? I'm like, great, sounds good. So it was an opportunity to just try a business, and thank God I've been in real estate ever since. That was about 6 or 7 years ago now. And it just kind of took me.
That's awesome. That's super inspiring, and it, you know, shows that hard work. You know, even, you know, during, like Gary Vaynerchuk always says that, you know, if you want to get into an industry, work after hours, volunteer your time, you know, find a way to do it. And, you know, you did it during the summer and then you were pulled out. So, I mean, that's
it was
very
just
inspiring.
fun. Honestly, I literally you know, just had a great time. It was just fun.
So tell me, like, so talking about fun, or, you know, or rewarding, like, what's the most rewarding part of your job? I mean, you know, to me, tell us.
Yeah, so I mean, similar to teaching, like I used to do special ed, and I used to help out some kids that were kind of like vulnerable. Like they came to me, like they had trouble reading, writing, and they're very like a vulnerable, like with education, and just feeling comfortable with my profession. I felt amazing that I was able to help someone that is vulnerable, and it was just a great feeling. So in real estate, also, especially in Brooklyn, a lot of people that were needing property over there or renting, people coming from out of town, out of state, and they heard all these crazy things about New York City and Brooklyn and this and that. And a lot of times they call me and I can just feel this kind of vulnerable tone in their voice, and they want me to help them out. So I just enjoy, you know, hearing that from somebody, you know, listening to what they want, holding their hand and kind of taking them through and showing them, hey, the process, you know, is not crazy. It doesn't have to be hard. It's a fun process. And just the rewarding thing for me is on the onset, hearing what someone's looking for and just watching it go and seeing the whole deal through and just helping them be happy and getting what they want. And it's just an amazing feeling. It's rewarding. They thank me. They're like, wow, thank you so much. I appreciate you helping me out. And I'm like, no, thank you. Those are just the process is so rewarding. And I enjoy it. So
Is it as rewarding with investors as it is with you know, single family or like a first home purchase for folks?
yeah, so I would say certainly, you know, it's a very good question, and it's similar because, I mean, you have to understand, investor has their money. You know, they've obviously worked very hard for that money. You know, you need to have 25% down, you know, like in most cases for like a multifamily investment. So they're putting out some serious cash, and you know, you really, it's a similar type situation. I mean, not so much vulnerable, but more like, you know, like they want their money to go into good places. So when you help them out and, like, you know, sometimes you try to like under promise, like, you know, like rent roll, like, you know, let's say they want to invest in the property. You say, okay, you know, we could probably get $2,000 out of this property. And then you know, and then they buy it, like they trust you. Or obviously, I feel it's important also for investors, not so much just to trust, to put the trust in agents, but also to have a knowledge base themselves a little bit. But basically, trust the agent, you buy the house, the next thing you know, you rent it and you're getting $1,100 per unit. So it's a $2,200 rent roll total. And it's an amazing feeling because here they were worried about, putting down their $50,000, $60,000 cash for, a down payment. And next thing you know, their rent roll is higher and they're happy. So that's obviously an amazing feeling as well. So similar, very similar, different, but very similar.
I know that you're in your office now, but has the pandemic kept you at home? Like, was there a time where you had to stay at home and do your job from home?
Yes, certainly. Right now it's toward the end of May. I would say since it started March, I haven't been out for almost 2 months. I literally March, April, and most of May, I've literally been in my office for the first time like about a week ago to pick something up. So yeah, I've been working mostly remotely. I haven't been in the office. Yeah, mostly because I wasn't necessarily dealing with like new clients. I was dealing with a lot of deals that started before. So it was just all from home.
Okay, and how was that? I mean, like, how do you do showings? You're talking about like people's biggest purchase. You purchase a car, it's a big purchase, but purchasing a home or investing in a home, it's a really big purchase. Like, how do you have deal flow happen when you can't do showings, or how does one do a showing nowadays?
Right. So certainly, right at the start of it, I wasn't doing so many showings. Now it's more. Now it's more like I started doing showings again. You're just very careful with all like the regulations out there. Everything that you're obviously supposed to be careful about in terms of social distance, in terms of making sure like you're not really touching surfaces. I mean, you can go ahead and turn on the lights, let's say with like a Lysol wipe, so your client doesn't have to. So the nature of how you do the showing has changed with just in general how things have changed. But right now definitely still doing showings. In terms of listings, one thing I've always done in the past, I've been very into like video tours, giving video tours. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see tons of video tours, and I enjoy it. I enjoy kind of running through a house, and videoing the house. So I've been doing that now as well, like in terms of listings. But in terms of buyers, right now I'm taking buyers around, and we're going into property.
Okay, are you wearing masks? Are you wearing gloves? You're Lysoling, the hardware on the doors and light switches, or?
Yeah, so all that, all that type of stuff.
Awesome. What's been the biggest challenge to you, personally, in like, within the business, in trying to get, like, did you have some customers or potential clients that were, very interested and they were then hesitant, and now you had to wait till a couple months out, and now they're maybe, back in the market and they're ready to tour again? Or like, what's been the most challenging to you?
I would say just, simply buyers kind of like, it's like if you're stuck at home, right, and you're not going out and you're not traveling, and or if you live with a loved one that's that's maybe older, more susceptible, they're just not thinking about buying, or they're not thinking about selling. So I've had a lot of people that that really wanted to kind of go forward and do things, but again, mainly in March and May, right? Sorry, mainly in March and April. That was that was more the case. Now in May, as we see in the market again, in April of 2019, like we were up 40, like right now we're down 40% where we were in 2019, mostly because I feel like there was that freeze and there wasn't too much going on. But now, as you see with the trend in May, things going up, people are going out again. I am showing clients again, and we're more carefully, but we're pretty much trying to get back to business, and people are coming out.
I'm happy to hear that. Now, tell me, like, let's say I went to Tulane. I lived on a couple of different streets, in uptown New Orleans near campus. College, we don't know what's going on, right? They closed, at the beginning of March, they closed Tulane. Everyone went home. Some students are still off campus, I know, and but it's pales in comparison to what it is on a normal semester. What do you think that market's like? If I was looking to invest, or anyone was looking to invest in that Tulane area market, first of all, how does the pandemic affect that? And I've also heard rumblings that Tulane might require all students to be on campus, which also might erode the market and, you know, hurt that even more. So if you could answer, you know, both of those.
Sure. So like in terms of like the general investment market, and also if you ask me right now, like should you invest, right? So the whole investing question is so invested. So prices are usually fueled by the rent roll, right? It's obviously depending on the rent roll of the property that generally determines like the price of the property investment. In general, the rents have not really gone down. I would say in April, we've seen a kind of like, you know, a little bit less have gone down, but I feel like those were kind of, you know, directly because of what was happening then. But in general, rent rolls have stayed pretty have stayed pretty steady, right? You know, like not only have they stayed pretty steady, but some of the sellers, like they're selling these investment properties, are kind of like, you know, they're predicting that there may be a lower, you know, rent roll later, so they may be adjusting their prices accordingly. So in terms of investment, you know, I think that there is, you know, there is opportunity to invest because of that, you know, predicting. And right now, if the market kind of, you know, hopefully comes back and jobs are coming back, you know, the rent roll should stay. And if you're buying based on the predicting that it's going lower, then you're doing all right. But in general, in terms of investment property, I would say it's always important to look at your individual market. Individual markets are very important. So, for example, like in Detroit, you know, if your market is based on something very, very specific and that thing's affected, then I would say you may want to hold off. Now, specifically in terms of Tulane, in terms of the college market, I've heard that Tulane is going to reopen. I heard because I personally have investments near Tulane, and I manage property near Tulane. I've helped clients near Tulane. I love the Tulane market. I love the student market. It's very big, and I heard that they will be reopening. They may do like a hybrid kind of classes where the larger classes are going to be done on Zoom and the smaller classes will be coming. So I believe that the students will be coming back for a full semester. That's obviously very good news for investors. And so obviously, when you're buying near Tulane, you're buying high prices, you want to look at that individual market. Now, based on that, like for example, like more like kind of getting deeper, what you asked me, you heard that Tulane may be building new campuses. So as of right now, the first and second year students, we're all on campus, third and fourth year off campus. Like that's why the market's so hot, because there's so much demand, right? So there has been talks, rumors about them building up new dorms, and they may require the third-year students to live on campus as well, which means you're only going to be getting the fourth-year students, which means the supply is going to go way down. The demand is going to go way down, and the supply is going to go up. That I think that will certainly take a hit on the market, specifically because the market's so hot and you're buying so high because of the demand. If that happens, so I would say unrelated to COVID-19. In terms of COVID-19, the Tulane market, as far as I know, there's usually you're on the June to June rent, like the June to June schedule. That hasn't been affected. Apparently, students are coming back, and that's fine. But more specifically, unrelated to COVID-19, in terms of new dorms coming up, then yes, if you were about to buy $1 million property based on getting, you know, let's say, you know, $8,000-$9,000 a month per rent, and that's based on getting these big numbers per room, you may want to look into that. You may want to look into the further about whether they're building dorms.
Wait, so you're saying that parents and students are signing leases right now, or like for this coming June, so that they can lock in their spot for the fall?
Absolutely. I mean, so one interesting thing about the Tulane market is that a lot of times people rent in January, February for the next year, you know, for June. Like for example, the properties that I manage, I sign leases already in January for June 1st, and the students are on a June to June schedule. And a lot of them don't even show up until like August, which is interesting, fascinating about the student market. But we've already signed leases back in January. Now, just recently, I was dealing with a multifamily like a near Tulane triplex, and the buyer was very concerned about it because this was in April. He actually bought like right at the beginning of May, where we're kind of at that point we're still very like vulnerable, and he wasn't sure because all the leases were done at the end of May. We didn't do new leases because we were going to sell. and the buyer had a decision to make. He was kind of freaking out, but he bought it. We sold the property, and just recently I've seen, I've seen it go up for rent, and boom, it's like it's getting knocked out just as before. So I've seen, properties renting. Absolutely. Students are coming back and properties are renting. Students that have rented are not calling and being like, hey, I'm canceling my rental. They're still on track. So
really happy to hear that. I mean, that's good for New Orleans. It's good for the Tulane market. And that's also a good indicator that, we should be opening up and things are moving in a good direction.
Yeah. And in terms of investments in general, and again, the fact that the rental market hasn't really gone down too much, again, different, that's a good sign,
Of course. And so as an investor, in the rental market down there, I mean, like you're buying a 2-unit, 3-unit, what are the best areas aside from Tulane? Because again, we discussed that's high priced. And it's obvious because there's a student population, but what other neighborhoods are on the upswing or the rise, and where's good opportunity?
Yeah. So one neighborhood I actually fell in love with is so you have like the University West Carrollton area, and then you have Carrollton itself, which is more east of the city, and then you have west, this area, this kind of like rectangle. It's called Leonidas. Geographically, it's in a very good area because it's up near the levees, like near the river kind of goes around. Then you have the levees. Anywhere you get closer to the river, close to levees, you're on higher ground. So geographically, you're in a better flood zone, and it's a good area in the city. Now, in terms of lately, so the West Carrollton area, kind of University and a Riverbend and whatever, has gotten so big, and prices are so hot and prices are so high. So it's really spilling over past South Carrollton into the Leonidas area. And there's just so much new construction, it's like so much new building. But right now you can, even now it's a bit hard to find deals over there because, things have been going so quick. But when I came 2 years ago, that's when I kind of discovered the area. And it reminds me of areas like in Brooklyn, like you have like the Crown Heights, the hot Crown Heights area near Prospect Park. And then it slowly is kind of going east, it's slowly going toward, and over there you can find some investments. You can find like a 2-family house. You can even find a flip. Again, it's getting harder. So now because that area is getting, really developed and prices are going higher, then you're kind of spilling over Claiborne. So if you're familiar, a little bit north of that area toward the lake. In New Orleans, we do lake, river, uptown, downtown. So more toward the lake, past Claiborne, things are really developing over there. So I personally love that area, and it's great.
That's awesome. I'll definitely have to check it out, and maybe you'll have to send me some listings.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What's your favorite, park or outdoor space? New Orleans is beautiful for, most of the time of year. Unless it's too hot, in the summer, but what's your favorite spot in New Orleans to go with your family?
Okay. So one of the things I love about the South and New Orleans, aside from the weather being so hot, so far this spring has been nice. We have these amazing oak trees. We have some trees here I've never seen. I've traveled, thank God. I feel very lucky. I've traveled different countries. I've never seen such beautiful oak trees. You have a tree that's so thick, but the branches span, like the span of the branches is incredible. So parks like Audubon Park, you have gorgeous oak trees, and you have like the running path and the walking path around. It reminds me of Prospect Park in New York, but a lot of them are just shaded by these gorgeous oak trees. And then you have the Audubon Zoo in back over there, and then you have the levees, and just so kind of like the St. Charles, the south area toward the river. Audubon Park is gorgeous, and then you have kind of pocket areas all over. I just found this new park across the river. It's called Live Oak Park or something, where there's like 30 gorgeous oak trees just boom in one area. So different areas.
Those oaks are absolutely beautiful, and it's true. I mean, the park is lined with them. It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
like when you watch Forrest Gump, like when I watch a Forrest Gump growing up, and you see Forrest with a Jenny swinging on the tree, you see that oak tree, like that's New Orleans, like that. Not New Orleans, but that's the South.
Exactly. I don't. Of course, switching gears to something more humorous. I don't know how this didn't get chopped off on the chopping block, but I'm going to ask you, because your name is Barry, if you were a berry, what kind of berry would you be and why?
So, it's a good question. Maybe strawberry is the first thing that comes to mind. It seems like it's very versatile. You can chop it up, put it in a salad. You can make a drink out of it, and you can eat it. Or or you can eat it plain. I would say strawberry, definitely.
All right, cool. I appreciate that, Barry. I'll be
Yeah,
thinking
sure.
of you. We'll have to send you some. Where can everyone find you? Where can everyone find Collab Realty? I know you said you have videos online, on Facebook.
Yeah, so you can just check out my page, Berry Silver, BE, again, strawberry. I'm glad you mentioned that. Berry, like the fruit, and silver, like the color. So BERRY, Silver, SILVER, Collab Realty, COLLAB Realty. It kind of reminds me of Blippi. Like my kids watch a lot of Blippi these days, and Blippi spells his name at the end of the video so people can watch him. Blippi,
Exactly.
BLIPP. Anyways, Collab, COLLAB Realty.
It's important, especially with all the technical issues that Zoom sometimes has. But I appreciate you joining. I look forward to getting back to New Orleans, and be safe there, and hope you sell a lot of real estate.
Thank you, Warren. I appreciate it. I can't wait to see you as well, and good luck where you are. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Barry. I'll talk to you soon.